Greetings, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. This is our monthly show, the VUT University of Technology Student Academic Development Support and Work Integrated Learning show, live here at Commerza Radio Worldwide, which is streaming over the Podbean Business Platform. This program is the initiative of the VUT Cooperative Education under the Center for Academic Development, and it is in partnership with Commerza Friends and Supporters Club, NPO. This show takes place once a month, the last Wednesday of every month, with the exception of the month of December and January. It always takes place from 1800 hours to 1900 hours Central African Time or South Africa Standard Time. The goal of the show is to contribute to the university's development, growth, and sustainability of student academic development support and work integrated learning. We share information about this unit and the WIL program with major focus on career development and transitioning from the world of work, from the world of learning to the world of work. And for that reason, we bring experts from the university itself and practitioners from the industry and even the alumni of this program. We hold this conversation in the interest of the broader stakeholders of the university. So in our conversation today is Zinhle Marrengane. She is the lecturer and WIL coordinator within the faculty. She will tell you more about that. Let me firstly let you know that our shows are based on the principle we call the idea. We inform and entertain, develop and educate, empower and support, associate and network. That's the idea. And this is brought to you by Commerza Radio Worldwide. The mind, the journey, the destiny. We apply our mind to the journey that takes us to our destiny. We are looking forward to hear more about Zinhle. Very interested to know about her background, upbringing, childhood, memories, schooling, up to where she is now. We want to learn from her in terms of how she managed these transitions from basic education to high school education, and of course to university, and ultimately to the world of work. It will be very helpful to know how she went about deciding on the line of studies, and of course, how she ultimately ended up being a lecturer. It's a beautiful story. And of course, what does it take for one to become a work integrated learning coordinator within the faculty in partnership with the cooperative education? Zinhle, we are honored to have you here, but let's start very slow. Where do you originate from?
Thank you, Sam, for having me. I come from Newcastle. So my hometown is in Newcastle, but I was born in what we now call Eskaleni, that was mistakenly called Eskaweni, that is outside Marrengane. Then we moved a bit and we settled in Newcastle. So that is where I come from.
I didn't know that Eskaweni is actually not the correct name of the village. Is it a village or is it township?
It's a township. They had mistakenly called it Eskawini, but it is Eskaleni Skatetwayo.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
Tell us more a little bit about that. I think listeners will be keen to know that.
You are putting me on the spot on
history, yeah?
On the Zulu people history. But I understand they were migrating from somewhere. Yes, and then they got to this area, and in this area they saw this beautiful place in between something, and then they called it Eskaleni Skatetwayo. Cetwayo, I understand, was our king then.
Yeah.
Yes, so that is what it was then called Eskaleni. But with the arrivals and naming by a race that didn't understand why it was called Iskhaleni, then they mistakenly called it Iskawini, which has been corrected, yes.
Mm. Wow. And for how long did you live in that part before you moved to Newcastle?
I spent my first 10 years in Iskawini, Iskhaleni, of course. So that's where I did my primary schooling. I went to a primary school called Mzingwenya that is in Iskhaleni in section called J1. It was a beautiful primary school. We learned a lot. We were well capacitated.
Mm. Mm.
Yes.
And what kind of subjects were they teaching you? So I guess it's languages, of course, and then which other streams did you take?
In primary school, we did arithmetic, we did English, which had a lot of reading, and we were blessed to be visited from time to time by academics from the University of Zululand, which is not far from Iskhaleni. I think it's 10 kilometers apart. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm. And tell us a little bit about the role that your parents played in your basic education. Were they one of those that will sit back and just say, enjoy schooling, or were they very actively involved with your education programs?
I come from a family that really values education. So a lot of learning happened in my household. It actually still does. So outside of school, when my parents sent you to go and say something to somebody, you were not allowed to come back if you will not be able to well articulate what that person said to you. So you were asked to ensure that whatever that person tells you, you will be able to give proper feedback. And my father was quite well versed in English. So even speaking to my father, which he liked that we communicate to him in English, he would correct you quite often. Even my mother used to have him correct their love letters between them. So there's a lot of education that would happen in my home. I didn't come from that family where homework wasn't looked at. They wanted to know why you got 8/10 when you came home excited that you got 8, and they wanted to know why you didn't get 10/10. So I've always had involved parents when it comes to education, in class education, and the lot of education that happened outside of the schooling system.
And you probably you were the day scholar, or did you go to a boarding school?
No, I didn't go to a boarding school. I would call myself privileged. I enjoyed home throughout my schooling career.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because there's a huge difference in terms of the pace at which you grow. As some people say, there's a disadvantage because then your parents can be part of your journey, but others say, actually, I learned much better when I was away from home because I didn't get distractions from home demands.
My high school, I had 2 years in high school in a school that is a boarding school, but I was a day scholar. So my what I know that some people had a bit better than me who went to high school, including my own sister, is their time management. They understand that at every particular time, there's a time to do something and you must actually do that. So in terms of discipline with time, I would say a boarding school day does pretty well for most people. And I wouldn't say much about myself in terms of that, but the support that you get when you're a day scholar, as in my case, if your parents are involved and they can extend themselves to your studies, you do not feel left out.
Mhm. Mm.
Yes.
And at what point did you start thinking about the direction of studies you were going to be following?
All right. In high school, I didn't like much accounting. So I knew that I wouldn't take the commerce stream. And with history and humanities,
Mm.
I didn't have much interest there as well, though I did believe that I would make a beautiful educational psychologist, which one of my family members didn't believe. So I did not pursue that. So I would say by standard 7, I knew that I would follow the sciences.
Mm.
Yes.
Mm. And did you so you ended up taking science subjects in your high school,
Yes, I
grade
did.
12?
Yes, all the way
And,
through.
yeah,
We were
yeah,
standard 10 then. Yes, you are correct.
yeah.
12 now, we were standard 10.
Mm. Mm. And the transition from the high school to the university. Tell us a bit about that, and what role did whoever was your mentor play in influencing that? And what did you end up studying then?
All right. So when I completed my high school, I enrolled at the then Technical Natal in Durban. So I went there and I stayed in the residences because it's in Durban.
Mm.
Initially, the transition from high school to university, it wasn't the most pleasant. I can't say it was pleasant. I don't believe I know I didn't adjust well, especially in the first year. It was a bit tricky for me to make the adjustment. But the following years, yes, I did adjust well.
Mm.
Eh,
What did you struggle with?
I struggled with adaptation. I think there was just some cognitive adaptation that I lacked in terms of academic adjustment, socially. The
Mm.
support that I've always enjoyed from home is suddenly not there.
I see. I
So
see. And it was the first experience for you to be away from
from
the supportive parents.
yes, so it wasn't. I felt I was thrown in the deep end with no swimming abilities.
Mm.
So it then changed over time. You then get used to it. You get used to not eating the food that you like, the food that you are used to, commuting in public transport, getting lost. So it was
Mm.
an adjustment. And even the learning in academic programs, it was just extensive.
Mm. So it was rough for you.
You can say that. Exactly, it
So,
was rough.
if you were to do it again together with your parents, how best do you think you will manage that transition from home and high school to the university?
I think with my own experience, it's important that a child goes to tertiary when they are of age. I finished school at 16. I turned 17 in tertiary. So I think there's a level of maturity that you need to have before you venture into tertiary. So I would strongly advise that at least be 17 when you finish school,
Mm.
because I was ready for everything life threw at me when I was 17, turning 18. My second year there was not as harsh as the first year was. So I would personally say it's important that you do not go to tertiary quite early.
Mm.
And if possible, if you have parents open to a gap year, do take a gap year, which I wasn't afforded. My family was against a gap year.
Mm. Mm.
Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to come to that point, so it is glad you addressed it, because sometimes the concept of a gap year is misunderstood and is seen or viewed as a waste of time. And you feel that that is a necessary plugging in to allow you to mature, so that you are able to face the challenges that come with you being on your own for the first time at the university.
I I believe so. I believe a gap year would have done me a lot of good had I taken one, had I been afforded one. So,
Mm.
yeah.
But you succeeded in adjusting, right?
Yes, I did.
Mm.
I did.
Tell
Yes.
us a little bit more about your university life experience and attending lectures, making new friends, and starting to think seriously about life because nobody next to you. Just take us through that experience and how it informed who you are today.
Okay, so when I got to tertiary, I befriended a lady that I had done standard 6 and standard 7 with in the high school that I left.
Mm.
So I had a friend, we met on the first day of res, we brought to the same residence. And the other friends that I made, I was careful not to have friends who I'm smarter than. It was
Mm.
important to me that my friends must be smarter than me
Mm.
and they must have a social life that is aligned to why we are in tertiary. So I had a bit of insight there that led me
Yeah.
to friends that we have common goals with. So my social life, considering my financial constraints,
Yeah.
was quite confined to lectures and going back to rest. There wasn't much of it in there in terms of other vigil activities that young people get to do, purely because of finances that I could not afford. But I had good friends. We engaged in academic activities well and we supported each other. So,
Mm.
yes, I can safely say that when it came to friends, I chose well
Mm.
for
Mm.
friends that
What informed your decision to go and study at the University of the Technical Natal, which I guess that's what became the Durban University of Technology?
yes, it was the transition happened whilst I was still there from Technical Natal to Durban Institute of Technology, subsequently what we have now, Durban University of Technology. It was firstly, I felt that in biotechnology they were doing pretty well in terms of the standing. We were told that most students that got there, that studied there, you would be placed on time, and they offer good theory placements so you get a good skill. And of course, it was not too far from home. Other than
Mm.
that, my family believed that Durban was not so harsh as Gauteng or Johannesburg. So I guess, yes, then
Yeah.
on by default, I found myself in Durban.
Mm.
Yes.
Like all other universities of technology in South Africa, the Durban University of Technology is known for its progressiveness when it comes to WIL. Did you become part of the WIL program?
Yes, the our diploma, our national diploma, had work integrated learning for a full year. So we also had work integrated learning. I participated in it to get the qualification.
Wow. That was then in the final year, right?
Yes,
Of
we
your
do it
diploma.
in the third year. Yes, we do it in the third year.
Mm. Mm.
Yes,
Which company did you go and do your in-company training as part of your WIL?
I did my work integrated learning in Randwater, in analytical services in Vereeniging.
So that you had no choice then to leave the province of KwaZulu Natal to the province of gold.
Yes, and I guess I didn't know then that once you drink from the foul river, you are likely to come back. So yes, if you
Wow, that's
get water
beautiful.
from the foul dam, you will likely come back. I guess that is what happened to me because I
Wow.
went back. Yes.
But probably you didn't know that your work integral learning will take you that far from home, away from home.
No, I didn't know. Although then I was ready. I had been in KwaZulu Natal. I was okay. I was happy to leave. I don't even remember signing up for KwaZulu-Natal companies because they asked us where we want to go. Yes, no, I didn't sign up for anyone in KwaZulu-Natal. I was ready to explore other provinces. So that is how I got to Rainwater.
Yeah. And why Rainwater? What did they see in you, or what did you see in them? Who proposed to who?
We were placed, but they would ask you what sectors would you like to go into. So by then, I had a little bit more interest in. I liked agricultural research based and water research based. So I remember I had some application to the Agricultural Research Council, but I got Rainwater first. Then I ended up in Rainwater. Yes.
But that was almost influenced by the study direction that you had taken. I guess they wouldn't take you if you did not study biotechnology, right?
There is WIL for other disciplines in Rainwater, but we were afforded that because it's applicable. Biotechnology is applicable to those sectors that I've mentioned. Yes.
Wow. Is there a link now between the experience you gained as a WIL participant at DUT and the role you're playing now as a WIL coordinator at VUT? Or how did it come about? Or is there no link at all?
I would strongly believe that there is a link. When I was doing my WIL, a part of me felt just a little bit abandoned in terms of academic support from the institution. So as a WIL coordinator, I've always strived to be present for my students. I don't want them to struggle where I can help them. So I would say that all the uncomfortable situations that I may have had, I am instrumental in ensuring that if I can avoid that happening to them, I do. Yes.
I know we are ahead of ourselves. I want us to go back and retrace your academic journey, and we'll come back to the WIL and clarify it more for our listeners who don't understand what WIL is. But let's go back. So you did a national diploma. Then, of course, you had to be placed at Rainwater as part of your studies. Upon completion of your WIL program, what happened?
So upon completion of my WIL program, I then went back to the Durban University of Technology, where I furthered my studies. So that is what happened after my work integrated learning. So in our days, from the national diploma, you would do a BTech. From the BTech, you do the MTech. So that is what I did when I left my after my work integrated learning. Yes.
And there was no pressure from parents to say, Zinhle, now you must go and work.
Not really. No, not really. There was no pressure for me to go and work. My parents would have been very happy for me to leave school with a PhD. So the reason I left to go and work is purely personal. I can't put that on my parents at all. Yes.
And so you studied until you get your master's. You call it an MTech.
Yes.
Yeah. So when you left your MTech, that's when you came to. I guess that's when you came to VUT. How did that happen?
Yes, that's when I came to the Vaal University of Technology. They had
tracing back the Vaal River water.
Yes, I was tracing it back. I wanted to drink from it again. So what happened is that they had an advert for a lecturer in microbiology. Then I responded to the advert, and we were invited for interviews. Yes.
And you were successful.
Yes, I was.
Where are we now with our academic journey?
In terms of
in terms
study.
of yeah.
All right. I did pursue a PhD still with the Durban University of Technology, which is almost finished. So, yes, I did further my studies.
Mm.
Yes.
So
When we are in the academic space, a PhD sort of becomes something that you must accomplish in order to advance in that career. Yes.
is it because you decided to become a lecturer, or is just because you love education, basically?
um, I don't think you can be in that space and not get that qualification. So I would say the motivation to fulfill it is purely because I'm in the academic space. It may be
Yeah.
personal as well, but it's overpowered by the fact that in the academic space, you ideally you should have a PhD.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. And it's the same line of studies that you followed, even with your PhD.
Having done my work integrated learning in rainwater, I was then caught by the water bug. So my studies have been on water and water research.
Mm.
So it's been water research with applications of some chemistry, microbiology, and molecular biology techniques.
Mm.
Yes.
And then your research topic?
My research topic was on the characterization of some microorganisms that create adverse conditions in wastewater treatment plants. So we were looking at identifying what they are, understanding their metabolic traits, so that we can then devise methods to elucidate the problem that they cause in wastewater. So that's in principle what it was what it was all about. So we did all that using the techniques that I have mentioned: microbiological, chemical analysis, and molecular biology.
Wow. What are your views about the current water challenges that we have in South Africa? I mean, seeing that you specialize in the water issues.
Part of our problems that we have when it comes to water is the ailing infrastructure, but more so than everything else, we are not a country that understands water conservation.
Mm.
So no matter what can be done in terms of we can draw water from Lesotho, there is no reason for us to use more water than what the water agencies can give us. So we had Cape Town that had water restrictions at some point, but
Yeah.
we safely say even our Gauteng metros will get
Yeah.
into that at the rate of usage that we have. So I other than the ailing infrastructure, there's a lot that needs to go into sensitizing us that is the general public by us, that
Yes.
we must conserve water. We cannot waste water in the way that we do. So as a water scientist, I feel that once we've done all this beautiful research, although mine has applications within the wastewater sector, I believe
Mm.
that all of us within our small pockets in our communities, we can do something about sensitizing each other on water conservation.
Mm. Mm. I will say, as for going as far as educating us as a society around our relationship with water.
I completely agree with you.
Yeah, I sometimes get a feeling that I want to know more about the dynamics of water transportation and conservation, but sometimes I get a feeling that I don't get we don't get expert information. People who talk around the water problems, yes, they are administrators, they are the leaders in terms of political leadership, but where are the specialists like yourself that can come in and really make us realize that this is not something we should be having politics around it. It's so necessary for life. Am I diagnosing the problem that clearer?
Yes, the issue then becomes that water is almost a political subject. When we are going to address issues of availability, it becomes highly political because everybody should have an access to water.
Yes.
But because when we now go into water issues, it's a financial matter. So you cannot be going to communities of small pockets within a large area and say all of them must have reticulated water because government is legislated to when it cannot be financially sustainable. So I think that is where the clash comes in between our political figures and what can actually be attained and communicating that properly to our communities. Because if you are saying to somebody, I cannot put reticulated water here because it requires 10 billion rands and you won't be able to maintain it, you must be able to provide that community with an alternative. And the alternatives are there. It's just a matter of engaging the engineers, the scientists who understand a little bit more than you on that on what could possibly be done. We put stormwater drainage in peri-urban areas, townships, but we do not sensitize the public that a stormwater drainage must not have any form of blockage because it then defeats the whole purpose. But you can walk around now, you would find overgrown stormwater drainages because the engineer was there. They constructed beautiful drainage systems, but the community, the custodians of that, do not understand why that feature is there. So that is the gap that we need to bridge between politicians and us as society. So I agree with you. As water scientists, we should be doing a little bit more outside of the academic space.
Absolutely, absolutely. There's a view that the next fighting between nations will be fighting for water, because water is a scarce commodity. Let's bring it closer home now and talk about your role at VUT as the WIL coordinator, and perhaps as a intro into that topic, maybe explain to our listeners what is work integrated learning.
All right. So at the FAL University of Technology, I lecture there. And part of my lecturing involves that I coordinate work integrated learning activities. My department that I'm in is natural sciences. So natural sciences has 4 different qualifications. We have biotechnology, we have chemistry, we have agricultural management and environmental sciences. I am in biotechnology. So the diploma, which is our entry-level qualification, has work integrated learning in the final year. So this work integrated learning in the final year, you get to go out to industry and apply the theoretical knowledge that we have given you over the 2 years that you were on campus with us. So my role in the WIL coordination program is to ensure that I work closely with cooperative education, who are the custodians of work integrated learning, under the Center of Academic Development. So my role there is then to ensure that, firstly, I must give them our numbers on time. How many students do we have that will be going out for WIL integrated learning on their 3rd year? So once that has happened, when students go out for work integrated learning, I'm responsible for firstly being visible. I must be visible and attend to their concerns, from the small ones to the big ones. So I help them with the entire process from orientating them. So whilst they are still doing semester 4, the 2nd year, I must orientate them so that they better understand what it is that they will be doing during the work integrated year after placement. So that in essence is my role, to ensure that their adaptation from campus to industry life is a bit cushioned in terms of support for them while they are outside there. So we also do monitoring and evaluation whilst they are outside doing work integrated learning in industry.
So in principle, the university degree, they full time 2 years on campus, and the third year they are out there in the industry.
Yes,
And you touch base with them through your monitoring and evaluation interaction.
yes, that is how we.
And what did they bring from the industry into their qualification, and how do you go about making sure that they don't spend full year at the university at the industry doing nothing?
All right. So once they have they've been placed, the placement can be facilitated via cooperative education, or sometimes students do apply on their own and get placements. So once they have been placed, once they've gotten WIL placement, my role is to ensure that the company that has enrolled them is fit for purpose. So I must ensure that the company that they've chosen can provide the exposure that is required for the qualification. So once that is in place, they then register. So the WIL program is an interest-bearing program. So they must register and they must be assessed. So in the first 6 months, we need assessments from their supervisors who will tell us how well they are adapting to industry. And then the students must also tell us what the scope of the training is. So once you are placed, you will have a discussion with your supervisor, and they will tell you that for the duration of your 12 months, this is the training that we are going to subject you to. So they send them to us. We request to get that between 8 and 12 weeks, so that we look at the program that the company has put in place for the student to ensure that that training program is adequate for the qualification. So the monitoring starts as soon as the student is placed.
Is there some sort of a service level agreement between the faculty and the industry and the co-op?
Yes, there is. So co-op, they go out to companies, establish all those relationships for those service level agreements with between co-op and industry. And when it's a new company, my role is to go with cooperative education to that company to see if that company is suitable to take our biotechnology students. So sometimes a company will let us know that this is our entire process, this is what we do. And then we will draft, if they ask us to, we will draft what our students can do in their company, because sometimes they will not understand the depth of the training that we require. So our role is to ensure that we guide them on the training program that they will give to our student.
Your monitoring evaluation, when you do that actual visit, I guess you do visit them while they are on work and talk to their mentors in the companies, right?
Yes, we do.
So what evidence do you ask for when you get there to meet with them to confirm that what they are telling you is indeed happening?
So what happens is, before we go there, students have submitted 2 assessments to us. So we are in possession of information from the supervisor on how well they've adjusted to the world of work. And then we have a training program that the student has submitted to us. So when we go there, the monitoring is to ensure that what was written by the student, that is mark bearing, is actually what is taking place in industry. So we go there. If there is an urgent matter that must be addressed as per what was written by the supervisor or the student, we address that. And industries normally allow us to go through their facilities and see what the student is doing. So generally, we are allowed to, even if we can't go to the plants, some plants we cannot access, but we engage the supervisors, we engage managers, and sometimes we get the walkabout to see what they do, what facilities do they have at their disposal.
Mm.
Yes.
And how are the industries receiving this?
Industry is happy with the monitoring that we do, because what it means is that we are not merely dumping our students with them, but we are still there to support our students, even though they are based in industry. It gets difficult on their availability because they are generally busy, but they do make time to see us. And I would say that in terms of our curriculum, we try by all means that the curriculum that we have has theory and extensive practicals. So with the extensive practicals, it is what then industry will use to feed on the students so that they use that, what we've taught them, so that they can help them to retain that information and acquire better skills, because we provide the background in the 2 years that they are with us. So when they go to industry, it is to improve their skill and gain some industry experience with the information that we've given them. Yes.
So it's not just purely academic, it's also to prepare them for when they decide to go and start their careers in the industry.
Oh, yes. Between cooperative education and us, the academic departments, we ensure that we have a continuous orientation, and co-op calls it drives. So they'll have a number of drives that will help the students in terms of the preparation for the cognitive adaptation that is required when they go to industry. So we do quite a lot to ensure that we at least empower them on what is required when they get to industry.
Is the interest that they should finish and not rush to the industry, but come back and do like you did and study further? Or do you find yourself facing situations where some of them become so good and enjoy the industry that they said, I'm okay with my national diploma and we including my 1 year will, now I'm ready to go and work? And if that is the case, how do you manage that dilemma? Because as an academic institution, I'm sure you want people to study and towards the highest level possible.
What is important to us as an academic institution is that our students, when they go out there to do work integrated learning, they do so well that industry wants to retain them.
Yes.
Number of companies, they do allow students, they retain them and they allow them to study further. That is why our advanced diploma has enrollments. That is why our postgraduate diploma has enrollments. And most of those students, particularly for the postgraduate diploma, it's students that are working. So we want them to come back. But more so, we want them to participate in the economic space. So we are very happy when they are retained. For us as an institution, it is an indication that we have done well, because some of them, even before they complete their 12 months, they are retained, they are given offers of employment. So we are happy with that. And they can always come back and further their studies whilst keeping employment. Yes.
Wow. Wow. What are the kind of challenges that one must be mindful of if one becomes a WIL coordinator? Because this sounds like a full-time job. You're still a lecturer.
I hope my HOD is listening to you right now and he heard you. Yes. Will, according to me, call for a bit of passion from the person that does it, and your willingness to give students better student satisfaction. in the absence of the passion and a calling, you will not be able to do it well. You need to have that passion for the student. You need to have that earnest compassion towards them so that you can be present and you can support them. So I would say the challenge, firstly, is that the WIL coordinator must be given sufficient time to do due diligence to the students whilst they're in industry in terms of the visibility, support for the students, and proper monitoring and evaluation. So in the absence of that, it becomes difficult for the WIL coordinator to fully support the students. And when we do not fully support the students, we give them bad student experience that in essence counts against us as an institution. So I would say those are the challenges that you face as the WIL coordinator, not being given sufficient time to do an earnest job to it.
And the challenges that emanate from the students themselves?
Working at when you start working, because as much as they are students, they are treated as workers. They are working, they are employed when they're in industry. So they find it challenging. Some of them work shifts, and shifts are not really easy. Long hours. I remember when I was doing my work integrated learning, I went to rent water wearing a size 38-40. By the end of the day, I was a size 36. So long hours, you are on your feet, you are working, you are going from this bench to that bench. So mentally, you may be prepared, but they will get a shock of their lives when they actually get to industry. On academically, there are some auxiliary subjects that when we are teaching them, because of lack of experience, they do not understand the importance of the subject, such as your auxiliary subjects like quality assurance. So when within the first 6 months in industry, they will write to us and say they wish they'd listened more in those classes because everything about working is centered around quality systems. So those are the challenges that the students bring to our attention. Yes.
Wow. It sounds like this is very important in terms of long-term implications for them from career perspective. But are there ways that VUT, together with the partner companies and the faculties, are applying to mitigate this kind of challenges? Because it does look like sometimes you could have failures in this program.
Generally, companies inform us when they have challenges with students who are not performing optimally. So they will engage you. We try by all means to avoid a situation where a student is registered and upon assessments, we say that the student has not done well. Considering that the student is not being trained by me, but ultimately I'm the one that must mark the report and assess the student.
Yeah.
It's the supervisor that is training the student that must flag to us, to me, that something is not right with a particular student. I think in my years doing WIL, we've had one case of that. That case is avoided at all costs by all of us. We must all be certain when we say that a student has not performed well, that indeed it is the case. And the student is aware of the interventions that we have put in before we get to that. So,
so it's a very dynamic setup. Yeah?
It is dynamic and well supported. Issues like those that you are raising, we engage cooperative education ourselves technically, and we go and address those matters. So we avoid by all means getting to a point where we will say a student has failed work integrated learning.
And the challenges that come from the companies themselves that you are aware of?
It does happen that companies will get students who maybe do not give it their all, who are excited with the salaries, and they try and develop bad habits of being late, being absent. But it's things that we try and nip in the bud, and students also understand what is at stake. We always tell them that industry is small. If you do that at company A, you don't think that company B won't know. Industry is small, people know each other. So on the industry front, they will complain maybe on interpersonal skills. They do a lot of team activities. So some of the students will not be team players. Some will be slow paced. But with time, they will tell you that a student has acclimatized and they are doing well. So it's we try and manage the situation well, even with the challenges. Yes.
Paint me a scenario of an ideal company that is ready to welcome WIL students.
Look, we have many companies that we work with. And most of them, no matter how small the company may be, most of them offer dynamic, world-class work integrated learning. We may take a company that, say, maybe is pretty young, 5 years old, and they start taking our students from the third year. When students leave that company, they will tell you that they have so many soft skills that they've developed from working for that company because it was in its inception stage. Then you get ones that are quite old, quite with fully functional systems, and they will tell you that there was this problem and this is what I did. Companies invite us to their training programs and we see that they've grown. So I would say most of the companies that we work with, they are doing they are well equipped to take our students. We have already started receiving invitations for our students for next year's placements. So companies prepare well in advance for our students, especially the ones that we work with all the time. And it also helps when they are funding opportunities from the institution. So the institution does source funds on behalf of the students so that when they go to industry, they can be provided stipends by the institutions so that that relationship continues. So it's an ongoing relationship. Companies prepare for our students purely because even financially, we try and support the companies whilst they're training our students.
Beautiful, beautiful. There's a question from a listener here that I should read to you. How do you measure the success of WIL program and what improvements are made based on feedback? I guess we have touched on this, but maybe you may want to just quickly to answer there.
Okay, I hope I will respond well to this. In essence, when we talk about the success of WIL programs, we are saying that if we have 100 students that are eligible for WIL, we place all of them, and we place all of them in reputable companies, and we place them on time. I would personally say that would be my number one measure of success for WIL, that our students are not delayed by that. We may not be there exactly, but that is what we are striving to achieve. That by this time of the year, our students know that in the following year, they are going to go to such companies. When they write their final assessments, they know which companies they would be going to. So that would personally be the first measure of success for me, for WIL. And for continuous improvements, we hold meetings where we engage industry on what we as academic institutions can do so that we can better support them. So in essence, that means for our curriculum, we will invite industry and say and share our curriculum. They are industry partners, not just for placements. They
Yes.
must influence our curriculum because we are training our students for industry and they are industry. So that is how we strive to make continuous improvements where WIL is concerned by those meetings that we call advisory board meetings, where industry gives us feedback on what we can do to improve on our WIL program.
And the industry does recommend their subject matter experts to sit on those advisory boards. What do you call them? Industry advisory boards, to influence your curriculum, right?
Yes, we can design our curriculum from an academic perspective, but our curriculum is for industry. So industry, it's important that they give us feedback on how far we are from their expectations. Do we meet their expectations? If we do not, what can we do to improve so that we meet their standards? And of course, they source our students more than others. Ultimately, that is what we want. That people, a company will say, we just want your VUT students. So yes, we continuously want to improve.
I sense some passion in you as you talk about this. Is this your calling over and above your academic career?
I believe so. There's a year or two that I left WIL and I didn't participate in work integrated learning. And there were a bit of problems here and there, and I was happy to take it back purely for student support. So I purely enjoy doing it just so our students do not struggle for things that I can support them on. So you are correct. I think I like work integrated learning.
That's beautiful indeed. If I'm a potential student listening, what you are saying, and I'm so much attracted to this institution, the Valley University of Technology, and I want to go and convince my parents, and I'm scared that they're just going to ask me, why Valley University? Can you help me answer that question for my parents? From my parents?
You can tell them that we are an institution that strives to best support our students. Firstly, our academic programs world class in terms of the academic curricula that we have. It is benchmarked, it meets national and international standards. So academically, I can safely say that we don't do injustice to our students. So we try by all means that our curriculum is aligned to industry and industry goals. So when you come to VUT University of Technology, by no means think you have come to an inferior institution on that front. And then secondly, we are based in a town that is not as pricey as other towns. So if you've got financial issues, because we are not a city and you have NSFAS funding, you may not need to pay anything over and above that, like you would need to if you're studying in Cape Town and they will cap maybe your res fees. So we are well placed in our FAO area, and we have quite a vast support to help our students transitioning from high school to tertiary. We have I forgot what the department is called. It helps students from time management if you're struggling. It helps them with adjustments. So we
It's
help
like
them with a number of
life
things.
skills type of.
Yes.
It's just like life skills program.
Yes. I'm a first year coordinator myself. So for the first years, amongst my roles is to ensure that when students are struggling with adjustments, you refer them to that section. So they can consider us for all that. Our curriculum is world class and we have vast support for them.
I guess that answers a question that is on the chat box here from the listener. And the question is, are there support services offered to help students succeed whilst in the WIL program?
Yes, they are. When you are doing WIL, you are still registered with us. You are our student. So whatever type of support that you need that we can offer, we do. We offer that support. When a student engages us on any problem that they're encountering, even with supervisors in industry, as an academic department, we go there with cooperative education just to ensure that the student is well aware of the support that we offer. We don't just place them there and we forget about them.
There's a question also from my colleagues, one of our regular anchors here at Commerza Radio Worldwide, and that day, Franz Ramutla, is asking, what is the success rate of turning the placements into permanent jobs, considering the rate of unemployment in our country?
That is a very important question. Seeing young people not being absorbed after work integrated learning is quite disheartening because we want them to participate in the economic space. We can say that maybe between 20 and 30% they do get placed for permanent positions. Some companies will extend contracts for the students after the work integrated learning program. What has also assisted now is the fact that cooperative education has sourced from industry that they continue placing our students for internships that we fund, that cooperative education sources funds for, and they fund that. So we are participating in that after work integrated learning, even during these difficult economic times, that our students are placed, that our students still have what we call work so that they can have some income, because ultimately students come to us to study so that they can participate in the economic space. So it is not I cannot say all of them get permanent jobs, but where we can assist as an institution, we do. That after work integrated learning, they can be absorbed for internships, and some do get permanent placements. So those are amongst the things that would like to improve on in terms of establishing more relations with industry to absorb our students on a permanent basis.
There must be some alumni that are out there who have progressed so well that you look at and say, look at the success of our WIL program.
Yes, they are there. There are many. We see them in big companies. Your Unilevers, they are there.
Do they
Your
come back and plow back?
Yes, they do. They do. They inform us when they've got opportunities, job opportunities. We get them all the time, and we let our students know. They even participate in orientations. They do come and tell the students, as in from a peer to the students, on what they should expect, how they should conduct themselves, so that they are recognized. Because sometimes they'll come in as a group of 3 or 5. What do you need to do so that you stand out from the crowd? So we do get alumni who participate in this WIL program.
It sounds like you have a very well coordinated initiative between yourselves as a faculty or academics and cooperative education and the industry out there. What makes it so successful? What is the recipe of such collaborative success, if I may call it that way?
I am I'm not certain how to respond to that. I would say that I think that all of us that are involved in this program, from the departments that you have mentioned, in our small corners, we do what we need to do to the best of our abilities. So all of us We go there, we pitch in, and we do what we're supposed to do. And we stay closely in touch with each other so that there are no gaps between us and our supporting department for WIL placements.
That's beautiful indeed. If you had a magic wand, what do you want to see WIL program becoming? What level you want it to achieve?
I would like our students, when they write their final assessments, to know which company they're going to. I believe that as an institution, because we offer a program that we have said must include WIL, our WIL program, our biotechnology program involves WIL. I wish we could have that magic wand to ensure that, having said that, we are taking so many students in the first year, we ensure that at exit level, we have that same number of opportunities for their placements so that there are no delays in their training programs.
I heard you mentioning companies like Unilever. Which other companies and industries, in particular for biotechnology, will be interested in your students with WIL experience?
There are many. Production companies, food and beverages, research councils, your agricultural research council, your CSIR. Yes. So yes. So when I say food and beverage, from your SAVs to your Take 5 to testing companies that test, they are companies that outsource their testing facilities. So to those
So the
companies,
job opportunities are there. They just need to work hard and be prepared to start from the ground and grow.
yes.
So if I'm in high school and I've been listening to you, and I'm very motivated to follow this line of studies, what is required of me?
So what is required of that student, firstly, is to ensure that from the senior phase, intermediate senior phase in basic education, they pay special attention to their STEM subjects. It starts there, that during that phase, because generally you lose the grip of mathematics, for instance, in that phase between grade 5 and grade 7. That's where you lose the grip for your maths. So they must try and concentrate more on their mathematics at that age. And then you grow up, you get to your grade 10 when they've chosen. So they must choose the science subjects. We need mathematics, we need physical science, we need life sciences. And they must ensure that they at least get 60% on that. So those are admission requirements. So it is important that us as academic institutions as well ensure that we are visible in our small corners to ensure that we disseminate this information to the schooling systems. No matter where you are, I can do it in my hometown and my colleague can also do it in their small town, so that those students, even before high school, if they have an interest in biotechnology, they know what they need to do from that early age.
Do you participate in career fairs and career exhibitions to disseminate this information, or is there a special department that does that to educate and inform potential students?
There is a department that does it at work. My future aspiration as a WIL coordinator is that us as academics participate more on that in terms of career guidance. Like I said, when they do career guidance, they are already dealing with students maybe in grade 9 already, grade 10, but we could be more visible, as even as academics, we can be visible from intermediate senior phases, just to make sure that we motivate our young stars to have an interest in this and see it as possible careers and know what they are striving towards. Because you must know at that early age that if you want this career, you need to ensure that your mathematics is kept at this level throughout your basic education life.
Beautiful, beautiful. This is very informative. I really appreciate that because it sounds like the great opportunities that can be accessed through WIL direction, specifically for this sector that you are in. I think Valley University of Technology is blessed indeed to have you. And we are also grateful that your Durban University of Technology gave you so much grounding and exported you to the Gauteng province. I hope you don't miss KZN. But when are we ready to call you Dr. Marrengane? When are you graduating from your PhD studies?
Hopefully next year in the next graduation.
Wow.
In the next
Please,
graduation, yes.
please let us know. We really wish you very well. I mean, this is a lot of work. You're working on towards your PhD and you making yourself available as a WIL coordinator, and you continue disseminating knowledge through your lecturing. This is wonderful. How do you feel about this? I mean, we made you walk your path back and forth. How does this make you feel? This engagement with you over this platform?
Let me start by letting you know that I'm a novice. Yeah, I've never had to do any of this. So I hope I've done well. I have a greatest fear of failing
Mm,
in life. I don't believe I'm competitive as such, but I just have a great fear of not doing well as I should. So I hope I've done well. I'm not sure, but I hope I didn't. When we are listening to people on TV being interviewed, sometimes we feel they do not respond to the question, but they say something. I hope I didn't do much of that.
No, it's very, that's why we just went on. I mean, we can talk forever and I want us to wrap it up, but I just wanted you to share with us the feelings and emotions that are evoked by us, taking you back down the memory lane, back to where you are now. I just don't think you get much opportunity to reflect on your own journey. You are busy empowering other people. Now that you are you've done it for yourself. What emotions and feelings have we evoked by making you reflect in this manner?
Um, Firstly, I'm pleased and I'm happy that you gave me this opportunity to come and talk to you. So I am pleased about that. And you have made me think about certain things that I'm hoping that we could improve on as an institution. Yes, thanks.
Yeah, there is an acknowledgement from a listener on the chat box here saying, "Thank you, Zinhle. I have learned something from this engagement."
Thank you for the acknowledgement. Thanks a lot.
Mm.
Appreciated.
Mm. And Dade Franz Ramutla is saying, "I see the significance of will from my own daughter who is studying for psychology degree in her institution, and she's now stressing about job opportunities to the field she's following. I guess there are many more students who have the same challenges. What guidance are you providing? Uh, I'm students having for students having similar challenges. I guess that's what you say. Yeah, so I think there's a practical challenge there. The anxiety levels that students go through when they are in their will, not knowing whether they are going to be absorbed or not. I guess that's the question. And what support will give them?
I would, I can just give my opinion on this one because I believe that this degree that the child is studying does not have work integrated learning. So
It
it's
has.
just, it
It has.
does.
Yes. She's already on that level and she's anxious because she's not sure whether she will get a job.
All right. Okay. In that case, with psychology, what we could also look into is being willing to shadow someone. The thing is, I'm not sure what that entails. Where exactly can they be placed? So in the event that their placement can even be without remuneration, and they have a person that can provide that training. For the experience, if the gentleman France can continue to support the student in the absence of remuneration, they could look into that, because sometimes you find that there is a person or an institution that can provide adequate training, but they don't have funds to support the student.
So shadowing somebody will give them closer access to
Yes.
getting
They
opportunities.
can shadow during the holidays and be open to have work integrated learning that does not offer any stipend to advance the career.
Beautiful, beautiful. Wow. Zinhle, thank you so much. Please give us your closing remarks. I'm looking at time. This has been wonderful, and you can see by the reaction from the listeners that they feel empowered. Any closing remarks from your side? And then, of course, checking out.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for affording me this platform to talk about what I do. I had no idea that I have so much information that I could share with the listeners today. So the fact that cooperative education thought I could come here means that I am doing something right, and I hope to continue to be there and provide better service for our students. They are our customers. We should want to do better by them. Thank you.
Indeed, indeed. Yeah, there's some great acknowledgement from the listeners. With such programs, our country should be thriving in the biotechnology field in particular. Seems like a much required skill qualification in our country, more especially with the water outages the country has been experiencing lately. So there's real appreciation from the listeners. We have really learned a lot. Thank you very much, Zinhle. We much appreciate, and great thanks to Cooperative Education Department, CC, Dr. Enim Lezane, Edwin Mavelane, and Simon Muthala, and the whole team there. We're grateful for them, for this partnership. It helps us reach and access people like yourself out there in the faculties. Today, it felt like you are just close to us. It's not as easy as it sounds. Somebody has to go and dig you out from this busy world and bring you to this platform. This is empowering. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Listeners, thank you so much for your engagement and your chat messages. We appreciate it. That was our VUT Student Academic Development Support Work Integrated Learning show here live at Commerza Radio Worldwide. This is the show that happens on the last Wednesday of every month, with the exception of the month of December and January. It's a partnership between the VUT Cooperative Education and of course, Commerza Friends and Supporters Club. That was the mind, the journey, the destiny. We apply our mind to the journey that takes us to our destiny. That's Commerza Radio Worldwide. Our shows are based on the principle called the idea. We inform and entertain, develop and educate, empower and support, associate and network. We were blessed to have the honor of Zinhle Marrengane, lecturer and WIL coordinator, biotechnology and chemistry in the Natural Sciences Department. My name is Sam Zima. I was your host. Please look out for the podcast from this conversation. You can go to insightsonlinepodcast.com and you can revisit the conversation. Insights Online Podcast is also available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Samsung Podcasts, Amazon Music, and many other platforms. So thank you so much. Tune in. We have two more sessions in November. We'll be chatting to other practitioners, lecturers, professors, you name it. This is the objective that we are pursuing, to empower and capacitate our future leaders through this conversation. Thank you very much for tuning in. Take care until we meet again. Goodbye.